This show in particular is just so good.
Thank you.
It really feels like it knows exactly what it is. I wanted to jump back for you because the announcement, I worked back to find the announcement that you were in the show, and that was a while ago. That was April 2021. And I know the way these things work sometimes is the announcement comes, even after you're booked or involved with the show. So what's this process been like for you?
Okay, so it was 2020 and I got the audition in like September. I want to say early, mid-ish September. And I had an audition, I had my call back. As I was about to test, I bought the first comic book to get a better grasp on Tiff. And after I booked it, which I think was in like November of 2020, like mid-ish, late November, I bought the rest of the books and I read all of them and I was instantly hooked. And then, booked in November 2020, figured out who I knew who Riley was in November. I knew who Fina was in like January, and I knew who Sofia was in like Marchish. And then the announcement came out in April and we started filming in May.
In Chicago, right? What I think is so fascinating too about the show, even though you're subbing it in for a town outside Cleveland, it feels like you're, shooting it not on a stage, not on a sound stage, but like actually like on location and really using your environment. So had you had an experience like that before to really make use of your surroundings?
I had been filming on locations before, but this was a different level, I would say. Like Mac's house, the unfinished house, as we like to call it, those were all on sound stages. Those were completely reconstructed, but we'd be like going in people's neighborhoods at like midnight, 2 a.m. to go ride bikes. And they would come out and they would say hi and they would come watch in the filming and everything. And it was just cool to be able to interact with them, but also to get to see the different parts of Chicago.
So you have, Brian is involved with your show, and Cliff as well too, but a show is very different than a comic. So, when you're discovering how the show is really transforming, what surprised you the most about the adaptation?
I was a big fan of the comic books after I had read them. And I think that the show did a very good job of adaptating it into the show because it did remain having some very important comic elements. And there's little Easter eggs in there from the comics, but there are also differences so that it's not as predictable. And I feel like all of the characters, a little bit of the actor's personality was put into portraying their characters to give it that little twist and to give it more relatability in the world. And then I would say I just think it was a really good adaptation, and I think it's really cool because Mr. Brian and Mr. Cliff are executive producers and they're always helping to write the scripts, so they always have that like final thumbs up, I approve. And I loved how everyone worked together to make it this one cohesive show.
I want to jump off that because, when everyone is asked who's most like their character, right there.
Yeah.
You said because you're a gamer in part, but also that Tiff, she's smart. She knows what's going on. How do you feel like, do you feel like the character came really easily to you? Do you feel like you brought in sort of parts of yourself to her? What do you feel like when you're playing?
I feel like being Tiff was made easier than normal because the comic books were such a great source material. There was something to go off of, and I could relate to Tiff. She was a very relatable character for me, and she actually became some representation for me. So it was an honor to be able to portray her. And I did put a bit of myself into her because I feel like it just makes it that much more personal and that much more real. So it was just really cool to play Tiff.
One of the things that I enjoyed seeing a bit later on into the show is that you come face to face with your future self, or with Tiff's future self. And also interesting that I was trying to place the actress that was playing your older version, and I think this is her first gig, like her first real role. So clearly they were looking, for someone that maybe was a little bit like you, or a little like you in sort of the future way, or your character. How did you feel about that? Did you feel like you had a lot in common with each other? Did you feel like it was sort of like looking maybe at your future self?
Sekai is amazing. She was a blast to work with. And I mean, I feel like we did relate on like numerous topics, because I feel like we both could relate to both young Tiff and old Tiff's struggles. Sorry, not old Tiff, adult Tiff, but we could relate to both of the Tiff's struggles. And as we worked together, like we would work together for like 9 hours each day when we were filming those scenes. And it was just really cool to be able to get to know her, because the more we got to talk, the more we found in common, and the more similar our Tiffs could see. The more similarities you can see in our Tiffs. And we would make up mannerisms that, like, if we're drinking, we put our thumb on top, like little things like that show we're the same person and everything. But she was amazing.
Tell me about the girls too, the paper girls. You all seem to, what I think I like most about the show is that it's relatable in that you're not all perfect characters. You all have flaws, you work out things, you change, you adapt conflicts, and it really feels realistic. What was it like working with them?
The girls were so amazing. I met them on May 3rd, 2021. And I remember that date because it's my best friend's birthday. But I met them on May 3rd, and it just went from there. I feel like we clicked automatically, and we bonded over being like thrust into this paper girls world, because we all read it during our audition processes and we hadn't known about it before. So we all really got to discover this like show together, and we got to work together, and we had a lot of bonding experiences outside of filming 9 hours each day together for 5.5 months. But we would go get ice cream every weekend, and we would play laser tag when we were on location. We would have sleepovers. We do escape rooms. It's just, they are an amazing group of girls that I'm so fortunate to have been able to work with.
And you can see that it really shows on screen that you've lived in relationships. What does it feel like for you that it's show day today? You've been working towards this, your first Comic-Con, right? That you were with it, maybe your first press junket, I don't know, but it seems like this is like a culmination of such a grand process. What does that feel like for you?
It's crazy because I mean, it was my first Comic-Con, my first panel, my first everything. It was my first press junket, actually. So it was really cool to be able to experience that. But the show day feeling, I honestly don't feel anything right now. It has not hit me yet. It will hit me in like a day or two, I feel. It always happens. It always happens. But there is that feeling of like people are seeing it. I'm excited. I'm nervous for what they're going to say, but it's out of my hands, and I'm proud of the work that I've done. But it's going to hit me because I was on Pinterest today, and 2 ads for Paper Girls popped up as I was scrolling in like a 3-minute span, and I saw my face, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it hit me a little bit then, but it hasn't hit me fully yet.
Since it is the show day, I don't have to dance around as much with the do not reveals and all of that, but I still want to ask you, what are some of your favorite moments on the show? There's so many cool scenes. What are some of those favorites for yours?
Okay, I love the one where the ones where we're in the car. The car, both of them are amazing. I love those. It was such a good energy on and off, in and out of filming. I loved the ones at the rave because everything was glow in the dark, and there were lights, there were stages. They gave us like those candy necklaces because they had extra, and they had a popsicle and ice cream truck on set that day. So I liked that. I'm trying to think. I like the ones in 7 and 8 where we're in that like purple floored big building, because they had like a lot of that was green screen, but they like built that set and it was like on 3 different sound stages and it was cool to like go see all that. But yeah, all of them are my favorite basically.
My experience of watching the show is that, I was into it, I was involved, but I became more and more because it just has such a cool tone, a cool sense of atmosphere. One thing I really like about it is the music. Both
Yeah.
your score and the songs themselves too are really used well and interesting.
Yeah.
What was that? Do you have a favorite song from the show? Do you have a favorite sort of musical moment on the show?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say Blue Monday.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to say Blue Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know that one? Like, did you know about the 80s? Like, what was it like when you're doing the 80s scenes?
Okay, so I did not know Blue Monday before the show, but while we were on set, our first director, Miss Georgie, she had us make playlists because there were like weeks of filming and each girl got a week to play music. So she had us make playlists full of past and modern music. And then I did find out about Blue Monday, and then I was really happy that they put it in the show. But I didn't really know about the 80s before filming this. I mean, I knew about the racism and the sexism in it because I like it's still prevalent here today, but I didn't really know about all of the nostalgia as well because it's not necessarily nostalgic for me. I wasn't born, but it's just really cool because I got to research like music and movies, and the fashion is cool. Like When Doves Cry by Prince is my favorite 80s song by far. And then like Coming to America, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, seeing all of that was just really cool. And I mean, of course, I asked my parents.
Yeah, that helps a lot. What do you think it would be like for you to jump into the future, or just to travel in time? Is that something that would be is it of an interest of yours? I've always liked time travel shows, but I don't know, they tend to usually go backwards, and I think you might, but going forward, what do you think? How do you think you would feel in this situation?
I think I'd be very curious. I would be very curious. I'd go searching for me in the future if I think I'm still alive, how far it depends how far I go. But I'd go searching for me, and then I'd look at what I'm doing. I'd like ask questions if I felt like it. But I think I just really want to try to understand. And then I'd go like explore and see what stocks are good at that time so that when I come back, I invest now.
That's a great plan. Now that's how it's done. Have you heard feedback about the show? Have people responded to it?
Mm-hmm. All of my friends have been watching it, which is awesome because they keep sending me like videos of them watching it and they're like live reacting. So they're just like, okay, you're in the house right now and this is happening and this is happening. And oh my God, what's happening? Did you just get punched and everything? And it's so fun to see their reactions and everything. And then there's a bunch of comments on Instagram and Twitter saying that they really love the show and that they think it's good. And I just love those comments because they kind of make me feel good.
Yeah. I want to ask you one more thing. So you've been, this is a really interesting show in that I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like it before. I'm very curious to hear what the future reaction is going to be. For you personally, what have you been watching? What has been something that you've really enjoyed
about the show,
or shows in general? Like what's your sort of watching habits like?
I do like sci-fi. Like the best way to describe it, I would say, is like these are the shows I like: Vampire Diaries, the originals, The Office, like Rick and Morty. Like I like those types of shows a lot. And Big Bang Theory, of course. But I really like sci-fi and like witty humor and comedy. So that's what I like to watch. And I think that there's a tiny piece of each different genre in Paper Girls. So I feel like no matter what genre you like, you can watch Paper Girls and enjoy it. And I really love that about it.
I just want to say how much I enjoy hearing from you. You seem really cool, down to earth, everything that I could imagine. And you're so phenomenal on the
Thank
show. It's
you.
really an incredible acting performance, especially at your age. And I think you're going to have a phenomenal career. So I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
say how much I enjoyed that. And I really do wish you the best.
Thank you. It was so great to talk to you.